The glass door to the 22nd floor opened with a blast of cold air conditioning, and Ayla felt the cold marble beneath her bare feet. She stopped. He took a deep breath, and he entered. 25 women turned their heads at the same time, all in heels, all in impeccable suits, all with leather briefcases, manicured nails, perfect makeup, and everyone, absolutely everyone, looked at Ayla's bare feet as if she had walked in with mud on her soles. The silence lasted 3 seconds. Then came the laughter, low at first, stuffed, then loud, open, without shame. A blonde in a white blazer turned to her friend next to her and whispered something that ended in laughter. Another, wearing cat-eye glasses, pointed discreetly with her chin. The third took out her cell phone and pretended to check messages, but the cynical smile gave it away. Ayla felt heat rising up her neck, but he didn't lower his head. She walked to the reception desk holding her battered cloth bag against her chest, her shoulders straight, her chin firm. The receptionist, a woman with her hair pulled into a tight bun and a stony expression, looked up from her computer screen and frowned. "Can you help?" The voice was dry, impatient. "I came for the interview, executive assistant." The receptionist looked at Ayla's feet, then to her face, then again, for the feet. A smirk appeared, mischievous, amused. "Are you sure you're in the right place?" "I have." Ayla held out the crumpled paper she had in her bag, the printed notice, with the Haddad Investimentos logo, the address, the time, the vacancy code. The woman picked up the paper with her fingertips, as if touching something dirty. Read. He sighed. He typed something on the computer with his lips pursed. Clicked. He looked at the screen. Clicked again, and then she frowned, genuinely surprised. Name, Ayla Nascimento. More clicks. Too long a pause. "It's here." The voice carried surprise and disapproval in equal parts. "But you can't go in like this." "Like this? Like this." The receptionist made a vague gesture with her hand, pointing Ayla up and down. "No shoes. No posture. You understand that this is a multinational, right? This isn't an NGO. It's not a social project." Ayla swallowed. He felt his nails dig into his palm, but he kept his voice steady. "I understand, but I came, and I want to do the interview." The receptionist gave a thin, cruel smile. He tilted his head as if speaking to a stubborn child. "Love, this isn't a charity house. If you can't come dressed appropriately, maybe this place isn't for you. Maybe you should look for something more at your level." The other candidates listened, and they laughed again, louder this time. One of them, a tall brunette with blood-red lipstick and the look of someone who had never heard a no in her life, got up and came to the reception, smiling with false solidarity. She looked Ayla up and down, slowly, like someone evaluating a broken object in a store. "I'm sorry, but where did you buy that bag?" The tone was sweet, the poison evident. "Is it vintage? Like retro?" "I didn't buy it. I won." "Ah, makes sense." The woman exchanged a look with the blonde in the white blazer. They both laughed. "What about the barefoot look? Is it also a trend?" More laughs. Now collective. Ayla tightened her fingers on the strap of her bag. He felt tears burning in his eyes, but he didn't let them fall, because responding would be giving them what they wanted. A reason to say that she was aggressive, unprepared, without class, without a place. The receptionist sighed again, as if she was doing him a huge favor. "Look, I'll let you sit, but when they call you, don't complain if they send you away, okay? I warned you, and honestly, you're looking ridiculous." Ayla nodded. He turned his back. He walked to the only empty chair, in the corner, close to the emergency door, away from the others, as if it were a penance, and sat down. The cold of the synthetic leather stuck to the skin of her thighs. She pulled her threadbare skirt down. He crossed his feet under the chair, trying to hide them, but it was useless. Everyone had already seen it, and everyone still looked. A redhead in a gray suit turned to the group and said, without lowering her voice, "Guys, imagine if it passes. What a shame for the company. She won't even be called. They'll definitely tell her to go home. Or they'll call just so it doesn't look like discrimination. But obviously there's no chance." Ayla pretended not to hear. He looked at his hands. "For short, clean nails, but without nail polish. For dry skin on your fingers, cracked from washing clothes in the basin. For small stove burn scars. Hands of those who work. Hands of those who survive." Ayla shouldn't be there. Not like that. That morning, she had woken up at 5 as usual. The old alarm clock on her cell phone had gone off 3 times before she managed to open her eyes. The room was tiny. A single mattress on the floor, a wooden chest of drawers with jam drawers, a window that looked out onto the wall of the neighboring building. She lived in a guest house in Heliopolis, 3rd floor of a building without an elevator, with a shared bathroom in the hallway. He had gotten up, washed his face in the cold sink of the public bathroom, brushed his teeth carefully, back to the room. I prepared coffee on the improvised electric stove that was on top of the dresser. Day-old French bread soaked in coffee with milk, nothing more, because the money had to last until the end of the month, and there were still 8 days to go. Then, I had ironed the white blouse, the only one without a visible stain. With the old iron that heated crookedly, she was wearing the navy blue skirt she wore in every interview. She had braided her hair carefully, using the broken comb she had received from her neighbor, because I knew that appearance mattered, even when you had nothing. And he had worn the only pair of shoes he owned, a pair of black thrift store sneakers, frayed on the sides, with the sole worn at the heel, but still dignified. Before leaving, he had looked in the cracked mirror hanging on the wall, and she had spoken quietly to herself, "You can do it. You deserve it." She left the house at 6:30. He locked the door with the padlock. He went down the cramped stairs. He passed the hostel owner, who barely looked. He went out onto the street while it was still dark, with the cold of the early morning in Sao Paulo cutting his skin. He took the crowded bus. She stood, squeezed between a man who smelled of motor oil and a woman with grocery bags, got off at the subway station, changed lines. It rose to the surface near Avenida Paulista, and he walked 6 blocks, breathing deeply, mentally repeating the answers he had prepared for the interview. "Why do you want this position?" "Because I'm dedicated. I learn quickly and I'm not afraid of challenges." "What is your biggest flaw?" "I push myself a lot, but it always makes me better." She was ready, until the last corner. It was 2 blocks from the Haddad Investimentos building that everything collapsed. Isla was crossing the street when she saw a man on the sidewalk, unshaven, dirty clothes, walking, staggering, strong smell of alcohol that arrived before him. She tried to dodge, but he stumbled, grabbed her shoulder to keep from falling, and when Ayla instinctively turned to help, because that was how she had been raised, to help, he ripped the bag from her hand with a violent yank, and ran. Ayla ran after. He shouted, "Stop, please, it's all in there." But he was fast, turned the corner. He disappeared into the crowd that came and went, indifferent, hurried, deaf. She stood in the middle of the sidewalk, panting, shaking. People passed by. Some looked. Nobody stopped. The bag had everything: documents, RG, CPF, CV printed in 4 copies, old but working cell phone, pen, notebook, and the shoes, because Ayla always carried her shoes in her bag so as not to wear out the soles on the way, and only put them on when entering places. Now she had nothing, not even shoes, not even a cell phone, not even the dignity to go home and give up. She sat on the edge of the sidewalk. He hid his face in his hands and cried. He cried from exhaustion, for the humiliation, for the feeling that the universe was conspiring against her. But then he remembered his grandmother, Dona Joanna, who raised her alone after her mother died giving birth to her younger sister. The grandmother who washed clothes outside, who cleaned other people's houses, who never complained. The grandmother who said every time Ayla wanted to give up school, "Daughter, the world will try to break you every day, but you get up, you always get up, because giving up is dying while alive." Ayla wiped her tears with the back of her hand. He took a deep breath, and he got up. She walked barefoot, feeling the hot cement burn the soles of her feet, feeling people's eyes, feeling the shame burn more than the ground. But it continued, because giving up was not an option. Okay, inside the waiting room, time dragged like molten lead. The other candidates talked to each other, exchanged cards, laughed at inside jokes. They compared resumes. They talked about MBAs, exchanges, internships and multinationals. Isla remained silent, looking at her hands, feeling your stomach turn, trying to ignore the sideways glances, the whispered comments, the palpable contempt that hung in the air like smoke. "Guys, look at this. She really thinks she's going to get called." The blonde in the white blazer made no effort to keep her voice down. Poor thing. Must have come straight from the fair, or from some occupation. Does she know that there are no food baskets here? Laughter always laughs. Ayla closed her eyes. He counted to 10. He took a deep breath. He remembered every time he got there, every time he almost gave up but didn't. And then the hallway door opened. A man in a gray suit and clipboard in hand appeared. HR assistant probably. Serious face, professional posture. "Candidates, good morning. My name is Paulo. I'm a human resources analyst at Haddad Investimentos. Before you start, after the individual interviews, the company's CEO, Dr. Gabriel Haddad, asked to come by and welcome us personally. He's going in now." The women straightened up in their chairs. They crossed their legs. They fixed their hair. The rehearsed smiles smiled. Isla didn't move, just breathed. And then he entered. Gabriel Haddad, 50-something years old, gray hair combed back, impeccable navy blue suit, buttoned with precision. The attitude of someone who built an empire from scratch. A look that does not forgive incompetence but also does not tolerate injustice. Firm steps. a presence that dominated the room without needing to shout. He stopped in the center of the room. He looked around slowly, studying each face, and he started talking. "Good morning, I know you've come from far away. I know this place is competitive. I know many of you are already nervous." Pause. He let the silence weigh him down. "But I don't choose people based on their CV. I don't choose where they studied, nor who they know." Absolute silence. "I choose by character." Some candidates exchanged glances, and character is seen in the details, in the way you treat those who can't give you anything, in the way you react when everything goes wrong, in the way you stand up when the world pushes you down. Gabriel Haddad's eyes swept the room, and they stopped at Ayla. He frowned. He looked at his bare feet, then to her face, for red eyes, for straight posture despite everything, and something changed. His expression became serious, almost surprise, as if he had seen something that others had not. "You." The voice was firm, but not aggressive. "The girl in the corner. Can you come here?" All heads turned as if in damned synchronicity. Ayla froze. "I? You." She got up. The legs were shaking. He walked towards him, feeling each look on his back, feeling the cold marble under your feet, feeling your heart pounding in your chest. Gabriel Haddad looked into her eyes, and he asked, quietly, but audible to everyone, "What happened to your shoes?" Ayla took a deep breath. He swallowed the lump in his throat, and he told the truth. "I was robbed. On the street. They took my bag. I had everything inside. Documents, CV, cell phone, and my shoes." She stopped, breathed. "But I came anyway, because I need this job, and because giving up is not who I am." Absolute silence. The blonde in the white blazer sighed loudly, like someone listening to a lame excuse. The receptionist rolled her eyes, but Gabriel Haddad didn't look away. He studied Ayla's face, the eyes steady, the dignified posture, the courage to be there, vulnerable, exposed, but standing. And then he did something no one expected. He turned to the receptionist and said, in a calm but sharp voice like a blade, "Cancel the other interviews. Call the next candidates another day." Pause. He pointed to Ayla. "This girl here comes in directly with me. Now." The other candidates burst into indignant whispers. "Is this serious? She doesn't even have shoes." What a joke. The receptionist turned pale. He opened his mouth. It closed. He looked at Ayla with pure hatred. And Ayla, for the first time in hours, felt something other than shame. He felt hope. Gabriel Haddad walked ahead in silence. Ayla followed him down the marble-lined hallway with abstract paintings on the walls and air conditioning that chilled the skin. His steps were firm, determined. Hers, barefoot, almost inaudible. She tried not to look back, but she felt the gazes of the other candidates piercing her back like daggers. They turned right. They passed a meeting room with a glass table and leather chairs, then another, and another, until they reached the end of the corridor, where a dark wooden door bore a discreet sign, "Gabriel Haddad, CEO." He opened the door. He waved for Ayla to come in. She entered. The room was large but not ostentatious. A large mahogany table, bookcase full of books, not the decorative ones that business people buy to impress, but old, worn volumes, with spines marked by reading, floor-to-ceiling window overlooking Paulista, and on the wall behind the table a framed photo, an older man in a worn suit, next to a woman in an apron, both smiling in the doorway of a small bakery. Gabriel closed the door. He pointed to the chair in front of the table. "Sit." Ayla sat down. He folded his hands in his lap, trying to hide his trembling. He didn't sit down immediately. He went to a side cabinet, opened it, took out a bottle of water and 2 glasses. He poured one and handed it to her. "Baby." She took the glass, drank. The water was cold, and she hadn't realized until that moment how much her throat burned from holding back, crying. Gabriel finally sat in the chair on the other side. He crossed his fingers on the table and he looked at her with that look that didn't judge but saw everything. "Tell me the whole story, from the beginning." Ayla took a deep breath, and he did. He talked about waking up at 5, about the pension in Heliopolis, about ironing your blouse and preparing coffee on the stove, about shoes in the bag, about the robbery, about continuing anyway, about the humiliation at the reception, about the laughs. Gabriel didn't interrupt, just listened, and when she finished he was silent for a few seconds, looking out the window. Then he said quietly, "I've also walked barefoot." Ayla looked up, surprised. Gabriel pointed to the photo on the wall. "Those are my parents. Syrian immigrants. They arrived here with nothing. My father opened a bakery in a poor neighborhood in Santo Andre. I woke up at 4 in the morning to help knead dough. I went to school smelling like yeast. I only had 1 shoe. Each child wore them on alternate days." He paused. People laughed. The teachers did too. They said I wasn't going to get anywhere, that a poor immigrant had no future. Gabriel looked at Ayla. "But my father taught me one thing. Character doesn't depend on shoes." It depends on how you react when your shoes are taken off. Ayla felt her eyes burn again, but this time not out of shame, of relief. To be seen. You came barefoot, but you came, Gabriel continued. The others came in leaps and bounds, but they didn't really come. They came with a pose, with a decorated CV, with a network of contacts, and none of them have what I'm looking for. And what are you looking for? Someone who doesn't give up? He leaned forward. This vacancy is not for just any assistant. It's for someone who will be by my side in difficult decisions, in tense meetings, in moments where most people fall apart. And I don't need someone perfect. I need someone real. Ayla didn't know what to say. Then he just nodded. Gabriel picked up a folder on the table, opened. He took out a contract. I'm going to make you a proposal, not out of pity, but out of recognition. He pushed the paper forward. 3 months of experience, above average salary, transportation vouchers, meal vouchers, health insurance. If you prove what I think you will prove, effective, and then we talk about growth. Ayla looked at the contract, read the value, and he felt his heart race. It was more than she earned in 6 months of odd jobs. Why me? The voice came out shaky. Because I saw you stand up when everyone expected you to put your head down. Gabriel held her gaze. And that can't be taught. You either have it, or you don't. Ayla took the pen he held out, and signed. When Ayla left Gabriel's office, the other candidates had already left. The receptionist was still there, grudgingly typing something into the computer. She looked up as Ayla passed, and the contempt on her face was visible. So, they sent you back another day more, prepared? Ayla stopped, turned. No, I was hired. The woman froze. The fingers stopped on the keyboard. How it is? I've been hired. I start Monday. Ayla kept her voice calm, steady. It will be a pleasure to work with you, and left. The receptionist stared, mouth open, unable to process. Ayla took the elevator down, crossed the lobby, passed through the glass doors and stepped onto the sidewalk. The afternoon sun hit the face. The heat from the asphalt burned my bare feet. But this time she didn't feel ashamed. He felt victory. He walked to the bus stop. He sat on the hot metal bench, and only then, alone, did she let the tears fall. But they weren't tears of pain. They were of relief, of gratitude, of hope. She pulled out the borrowed cell phone Gabriel had given her, a simple model, with his number saved, and called the pension. The guest house owner answered on the third ring. Donna Sita, it's Ayla. Can you call my grandmother? Silence. Dragging steps. Voices in the background. And then the hoarse, tired but sweet voice. Hello? Ayla? Grandma? Ayla's voice trailed off. I did it. I got the job. Silence on the other side. Then, a hiccup. Thank God, daughter. Thank God. That night, Ayla barely slept. She lay on the thin mattress looking at the cracked ceiling, processing everything. The assault, the humiliation, Gabriel's look, the signature on the contract, the feeling that life had finally turned around. But something bothered her. When Gabriel looked at her in the waiting room, there was something on his face, an expression that wasn't just surprise, it was recognition, as if he knew her, as if he already knew who she was. But how? They had never seen each other before. She tried to shake the thought away. She told herself that she was traveling, that tiredness was confusing everything, but the doubt remained, small, persistent. Bobby T. On Monday, Ayla arrived at Haddad Investimentos at 7:30 in the morning, this time with shoes, a simple pair of sneakers that he managed to buy at a thrift store with the advance that Gabriel had transferred on Saturday. She went up to the 22nd floor, passed by reception. The same receptionist was there. When he saw Ayla, he turned his face away and pretended to be busy. Ayla smiled and followed. Gabriel was waiting for her in the living room. And, gray suit today, coffee served on the table. Good morning. Punctual. I like it. He motioned to the chair next to the table, not in front, but to the side. Today I'm going to introduce you to the team, but first I want to explain how things work here. He spent the entire morning detailing the company's operations. Haddad Investimentos was a wealth management firm that served clients with high purchasing power. Gabriel personally led the main portfolios, but beyond that he had a side project, a social investment fund that financed small entrepreneurs on the periphery. I don't do this for marketing, Gabriel explained. I do it because I know what it's like to start with nothing, and I know that talent doesn't depend on zip code. Ayla listened, fascinated, and I realized that Gabriel was not just a CEO. He was someone who understood the struggle, that she understood, but the doubt remained, that look, that recognition. We chatted in Rosgarim in the afternoon during the break. Ayla went to the pantry to get water, and he heard voices coming from the meeting room next door. The door was ajar. 2 women were talking. Ayla recognized the voices. Mariana, HR manager, and Patricia, financial director. Have you seen the new girl? Mariana spoke quietly, but her tone was heavy. The barefoot one. See? Gabriel hired her out of nowhere, without a real interview, without a complete selection process. And do you know why? Silence. He saw her name on the list, and he wanted to meet her in person. The name? Why does the name matter? Because she's Lena's daughter. Ayla froze. The glass of water almost fell out of his hand. Lena, your mother, the mother she never knew, who died giving birth to her youngest sister Isis, when Ayla was 6 years old. The mother of whom the grandmother spoke little, always with teary eyes. Lena, the one who worked here years ago? Patricia asked. Exactly. She was Gabriel's assistant before he was CEO. They say she saved the company from internal fraud, but then she left. No one really knows why. And he never talked about it? Never. But when he saw the surname Nascimento on the list, he must have connected the dots. Steps. The two were approaching the door. Ayla backed away. Quickly, silently. She returned to the hallway before anyone saw her. The heart was beating wildly. The head spun. Your mother worked for Gabriel, saved the company, and he never mentioned it. Why? Ayla spent the rest of the day on autopilot. He did what Gabriel asked. Organized documents, answered calls. He wrote down appointments, but the mind was far away. At night, when he returned to the pension, he found his grandmother sitting in the communal kitchen, drinking anise tea. Ayla sat next to him. Grandma, I need to ask you something. Donna Joanna raised her tired eyes. Speak, daughter. My mother. Did she work at an investment firm? The grandmother tensed. The cup shook slightly in his hand. Who told you that? I overheard it by accident. At work. Ayla held her grandmother's hand. Please, I need to know. Donna Joanna sighed. He looked at the window, to the dark sky outside. Yes, she worked. In a big company. She was an assistant to an important man. She really liked her work. She said he was fair, that he treated her with respect. And why did she leave? Long silence. Because she discovered something. Something that could destroy a lot of people. She tried to do the right thing, and they made her pay for it. Who? I don't know, daughter. She never told me everything. She just said that she needed to leave, that it wasn't safe to stay. And 3 months later, the grandmother's voice trailed off. 3 months later, she died in childbirth. Ayla felt a chill run down her spine. Do you think it had something to do with it? I don't know. Donna Joanna shook Ayla's hand. But I always thought it was strange. She was strong, healthy, and suddenly, bleeding. The doctors said it was a complication, but I always felt that something was wrong. Ayla was silent, processing, and then he remembered. On the first day when Gabriel looked at her, he didn't just see courage. He saw Lena. The next morning, Ayla arrived early. Gabriel was still not in the room. She took the opportunity to look around, saw the bookshelf, the books, organized folders, and in the corner, a locked drawer. Something inside her screamed, "Don't move," but something stronger screamed, "You need to know." She looked down the hall. Empty. He looked at the clock. 7:15. Gabriel always arrived at 8. Ayla tried to open the drawer. Locked. But then he saw, taped to the underside of the table, a small key. She took it. He opened the drawer, and inside he found a folder, old, with elastic band holding yellowed papers. On the cover, handwritten, Lena Nascimento, 2009-2010. Ayla opened it, and the first thing he saw was a photo. Your mother, young, smiling, next to Gabriel, much younger, in front of the Haddad Investimentos building, and below, a letter, handwritten. Gabriel, if you are reading this, it is because something happened to me. I discovered that someone at the company is embezzling funds. Someone close, someone you trust. I have proof, but I'm being threatened. They said that if I speak, they will hurt my daughters. Then I'll leave. I will protect them. But you need to know the culprit is still there, and he will try again. Take care of my girls if something happens to me. Lena. Ayla felt her hands shake. The door opened. Gabriel entered. He saw the open drawer. He saw the letter in Ayla's hands, and he said in a tired voice, I was waiting for you to find this. Gabriel closed the door behind him. Locked. The click of the lock echoed in the silent room like a gunshot. Ayla held the letter with both hands, shaking. Her eyes fixed on that handwriting that she had never seen before, but that seemed to scream her mother's name in each letter. Sit, Gabriel said. The voice was firm, but tired, like someone who has been carrying a weight for years. Ayla didn't move. Sit down, Ayla, please. She sat down, but he didn't let go of the letter. Gabriel went to the window. He turned his back, looking at the city below. He ran his hand through his gray hair. He took a deep breath. I met your mother in 2009. She was 23 years old. She came here as an administrative assistant. Efficient, dedicated, honest. He paused. And brave. Too brave. Ayla waited. My heart was beating so hard it hurt. At that time, I wasn't CEO. I was a minority partner. My uncle Samir Haddad was in charge, and he had a right-hand man, a man called Ricardo Tavares, financial director, respected, trustworthy. Or at least, that's what everyone thought. Gabriel turned to face Ayla. Lena discovered that he was embezzling money from investment funds. Small amounts from clients he didn't follow closely. Elderly people, widows, people he trusted blindly. Over the course of 3 years, he embezzled more than 2 million rials. Ayla felt her throat go dry. She came to me. She showed me the evidence. Spreadsheets, transfers, everything documented. I took it to my uncle. And do you know what he did? Gabriel's voice turned bitter. Nothing. He said that Ricardo was too important, that the company couldn't afford a scandal, that it was better to resolve it internally. And it resolved? No, because Ricardo found out that Lena had the evidence, and he threatened her. Gabriel clenched his fists. He said if she talked, something would happen to her daughters. 2 little girls. He knew where you lived. He knew the name of the school. He knew everything. Ayla felt her blood run cold. Lena came to me, crying, terrified. She said she was leaving the company, that she couldn't risk your lives. I begged her to stay. I said I would protect her, but she didn't trust. Not me, not anyone. Gabriel looked at the letter in Ayla's hands. She left this letter hidden on my desk, and it disappeared. And Ricardo? What happened to him? Gabriel looked away. He died. 6 months after his mother left. Massive heart attack. At 42. Convenient. Very convenient. Gabriel returned to the table, sat down. I was never able to prove anything, but I always thought someone silenced him. Someone above him. Someone who was also involved. Ayla sued. The mind raced. What about my mother? How did she die? Bleeding at birth. That's what they said. Gabriel paused for a long time, but I never believed it. She was healthy, strong, and 3 months before she died, she called me, once, from a payphone, said she was being followed, that she thought someone was still after her. And what did you do? I tried to find her, but she didn't want to be found. She said it was safer that way, and then she died. Heavy silence. Ayla looked at the letter again, read the last line. Take care of my girls if something happens to me. Why didn't you ever look for me? Why did you let my sister and I grow up without knowing anything? Gabriel looked into her eyes. Because I wasn't sure you were safe, and because I didn't know getting close to you wouldn't put you in danger again. He took a deep breath. But when I saw your name on the list of candidates, I knew it was time. Time for you to know the truth, and time to finish what your mother started. And how? Finding out who really ordered your mother to be threatened, and who is protecting that secret to this day. Ayla felt a shiver. Do you think the person is still here? At the company? I am sure. Ayla left Gabriel's room 2 hours later. The head spun, chest tight. He had told everything, shown old documents, spreadsheets that Lena had copied, deleted emails he recovered, names, dates, values. But there was one piece missing, the name of whoever was above Ricardo, who gave the orders, who silenced him, and possibly who silenced Lena. Gabriel had suspicions, but no proof, and that's when he made the proposal. You have access to places I don't. NHO, meetings, conversations, files. If someone is still hiding something, you can find out. Do you want me to investigate? I want you to keep your eyes open, listen, observe, write it down, and tell me. He held her gaze, but carefully, because whoever did this to your mother won't hesitate to do this to you. Ayla had agreed. Now, walking down the hall toward her desk, she felt the weight of the mission and the fear. In the following days, Ayla began to observe everything. He noticed that Patricia, the financial director, became tense whenever Gabriel asked for detailed reports. He noticed that Mariana, the HR manager, avoided talking about the company's past. He noticed that there was a room on the 21st floor that no one went in. Dead files, they said. But the door had an electronic lock. She didn't look dead, and he noticed especially that every time Ayla asked innocent questions about the company's history, people changed the subject, fast. On Thursday, during lunch, Ayla sat in the pantry next to Cynthia, an administrative assistant who had worked there for 15 years. Cynthia, can I ask you something? The woman, in her 50s, with thick prescription glasses, smiled. Of course, sweetie. Did you know a woman named Lena Nascimento? She worked here a few years ago. Cynthia's smile froze. The fork stopped in midair. Why do you want to know? Fun fact. I heard the name and thought it was familiar. Cynthia put down her fork. He looked around, and then he whispered, Don't say that name here. Why? Because it's dangerous. Cynthia got up. He took the lunchbox. Forget what you heard, Ayla, and don't touch old things. Old things have snakes, and left. Ayla was left alone in the pantry, her heart racing. That night, Ayla returned to the boarding house distraught. Grandma was in the kitchen, making vegetable soup on the communal stove. Grandma, I need to know more about my mother. Donna Joanna stopped stirring the pot. What do you want to know? Did she have enemies? Someone who wanted to hurt her? The grandmother was silent. Then he turned off the heat. He sat on the cracked plastic chair, and he said quietly, "There was a man. He called here every now and then. He asked for her. He said he was a co-worker, but his voice was cold, menacing. Do you remember the name?" "No, but I remember one time," she answered, and when she hung up, she was white. She said, "He knows where we live, Mom. He knows." Ayla felt her stomach drop. And then she stopped leaving the house. She only went to the market, to the pharmacy. She stayed like that until the birth, and then, the grandmother's voice trailed off. "Then she died, and I never heard from that man again." Ayla hugged her grandmother, and he promised quietly, "I'm going to find out who did this to her. I swear." Friday, Ayla arrived at the office early, 6:30 in the morning. The building was empty, silent. She went to the 21st floor, even the archive room. The door had an electronic lock, but Ayla had seen Patricia entering the code once, 4 digits. Or, she tried to remember. He closed his eyes. He visualized Patricia's fingers on the keyboard. 2509, typed. The light turned green. The door unlocked. Ayla entered. The room was small, dusty, filled with stacked cardboard boxes. She started looking, name by name, year by year, and then he found it. A box labeled, Financial Department, 2009-2010. Opened. Inside, folders, contracts, reports, and at the bottom, a sealed envelope. No identification. Ayla opened it. Inside, a recording, a flash drive. She took it. He kept it in his pocket, and that was when he heard footsteps in the hallway. Quick, heavy. She froze. The door opened. Patricia entered, and he stopped when he saw Ayla. "What are you doing here?" Ayla took a deep breath. He kept his voice calm. "Gabriel asked me to look for an old report." "What report?" "From 2015. About Provident Funds." Patricia narrowed her eyes. "Gabriel never asks his assistant for old reports, he asks me. Maybe he changed his mind." Patricia took a step forward. "Or maybe you're lying." Ayla didn't back down. He held his gaze. "Why would I lie?" "Because you're Lena's daughter." Absolute silence. Patricia smiled. Cold, cruel. "You think we don't know? Everyone knows. Gabriel brought you here out of pity, because your mother messed up and paid the price." Ayla felt her blood boil. "My mother was threatened. She was silenced. And she died. Your mother got into trouble, and you're doing the same thing." Patricia crossed her arms. "If you're smart, you forget what you came here looking for, and stay where you are, because if you keep poking around, you'll end up just like her." Ayla took a step forward. "Is it a threat?" "It's advice." And then Patricia left. He knocked on the door. Ayla was left alone, shaking, but not out of fear, of anger. She returned to Gabriel's room. He hadn't arrived yet ado. Ayla connected the flash drive to the computer. An audio file clicked. A male voice, serious, cold. "Ricardo, you failed. She has the proof. Now what? What are you going to do?" Another voice, nervous. "Richard, I'll fix it. I'll talk to her. I'll make her stop. You're not going to do anything. I'm going to solve it. My way. You don't need to know. You just need to disappear and never speak her name again. Recording has ended." Ayla froze. The first voice. She knew. I had heard her before. Recently. But where? And then he remembered. At Monday's meeting, when Gabriel introduced her to the board. The voice was Samir Haddad, Gabriel's uncle, the former CEO, the man who ordered the case to be hushed up, the man who was supposedly retired, but he still had an office in the building, on the 23rd floor. Ayla took out her cell phone. He sent a message to Gabriel. "I need to talk to you. Urgent. I found something." The answer came 2 minutes later. "I'm in an external meeting. I'll be back at 2 p.m. Don't talk to anyone until I arrive." Ayla looked at the clock. 10 in the morning. 4 hours. She kept the flash drive. He took a deep breath, and that was when the door opened. Samir Haddad entered. 70 years. Impeccable gray suit. Silver-handled cane. The look of someone who has never lost a battle. He closed the door, locked, and smiled. "Ayla Nascimento, Lena's daughter. What a coincidence to find you here." Ayla got up. The heart raced. "Do you need something?" "I need you to hand me what you just got from the file room." She didn't respond. Samir took a step forward. "Your mother made a mistake. A fatal mistake. She thought she could challenge powerful men. She thought the truth mattered more than life itself." He stopped a meter away. "Are you going to make the same mistake?" Ayla held tight to the edge of the table. "I'm not afraid of you. It should." The voice was calm, but cold. "Because I've silenced people before, and I can silence them again." And then he left, leaving Ayla alone, with the pen drive in your pocket, and the certainty that the war had begun. Ayla stood in the empty room for 5 minutes after Samir left. The hands were shaking. The heart was beating wildly. She looked at the locked door, then put the flash drive in your pocket. Then to the window, where the city stretched out indifferently, oblivious to the terror she felt. Samir wasn't bluffing. The coldness in his voice, the certainty in his eyes. He had killed before. And he could kill again. She took out her cell phone. He called Gabriel. It went to voicemail. Called again. Nothing. Sent message. Samir was here. He threatened me. He knows I have the proof. Please come back soon. Ayla put away her cell phone. He took a deep breath. I needed to get out of there. I needed to go somewhere public. Safe. She took her bag, opened the door slowly, looked into the hallway. Empty. He walked quickly to the elevator. He pressed the button. Waited. Every second felt like an eternity. The elevator arrived. The doors opened. Patricia was inside. She smiled. False. Cruel. Ayla. What a coincidence. Ayla hesitated, but going in was the only option. She entered. It squeezed the ground floor. The doors closed. Silence. Patricia looked at the panel, then to Ayla. Did you talk to Samir? I talked. And he explained to you how things work here? Ayla didn't respond. Here, Ayla. Loyalty is everything. Whoever is loyal prospers. Whoever isn't. Patricia paused. Disappear. Like my mother? Patricia smiled sideways. Your mother chose the wrong side and paid the price. You're smarter than her, I hope. The elevator stopped at the ground floor. The doors opened. Ayla left without looking back. And she crossed the lobby, passed through the glass doors, stepped onto the sidewalk. Paulista was full, noisy, alive. She breathed in the warm air, felt the sun on her skin, and only then, in the middle of the crowd, did she feel at all safe. He walked to a coffee shop 3 blocks away, entered. He ordered a coffee. He sat in the corner with his back to the wall, facing the door, and waited. Gabriel called at 2 in the afternoon. Ayla, where are you? In a coffee shop near Trianon. Stay there. Don't leave, I'll come to you. 20 minutes later, Gabriel entered the cafeteria. Rumpled suit, loosened tie, tense expression. He sat in front of her. Tell me everything, Ayla said. About the archive room, the flash drive, the recording, Samir entering the room, the direct threat, Patricia in the elevator. Gabriel listened, jaw clenched, fists clenched on the table. When she finished, he said quietly, I knew he was involved, I always knew, but I never had proof. Now there is. Ayla took the flash drive out of her pocket and placed it on the table. Gabriel took it. He looked at him like someone holding a bomb. It could destroy him, but it could also destroy the company and put his life at risk. My life is already at risk. Gabriel looked into her eyes. So we do this the right way, with T witnesses, with lawyers, with the press if necessary. He put away the flash drive. There's a board meeting on Monday. All the directors will be there, including Samir. He's still a life advisor, even though he's retired. And what do you want me to do? I want you to be there, as my assistant, and at the right time we present the evidence in front of everyone so he can't deny it, so no one can hush it up. Ayla took a deep breath. He'll try to shut me up before then. I know. That's why you're not going back to the boarding house. You're not even going to work alone. From now on, you're staying with me, in my apartment safely. Gabriel held her hand. I promised your mother I would take care of you. I failed once. I won't fail again. Ayla spent the weekend at Gabriel's apartment, a spacious, modern place in Jardim Europa. 2 security guards at the entrance, cameras on every floor. She slept little. He spent hours reviewing documents, listening to the recording, writing down details. Gabriel brought a lawyer, Dr. Ottavio, respected criminalist, specialist in corporate fraud. He heard everything, analyzed the evidence, and he said seriously, that's enough to open an investigation, maybe even preventive detention. But Samir is powerful. He has connections. He will try to discredit you. He will say that the recording is false, that it was manipulated. And how do we avoid this? Having more proof, witnesses, documents. Ottavio looked at Gabriel. Do you know anyone who worked with Ricardo? Someone who can confirm the deviations? Gabriel thought. Then he said, there's Cynthia. She was Ricardo's assistant. If anyone knows anything, it's her. On Monday morning before the board meeting, Gabriel called Cynthia to his office. Ayla was present. Cynthia entered, nervous, suspicious. He looked at Ayla, then to Gabriel. You can close the door, Gabriel said. She closed it. Cynthia, you worked with Ricardo Tavares for 5 years. Did you know about the deviations? Cynthia turned pale. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I did, and I won't blame you, because you were threatened too, just like Lena, just like Ayla now. Cynthia began to tremble, the eyes filled with tears. I couldn't talk. He said he was going to fire me, that he was going to destroy my record. I needed the job. I have 2 children. I know, Gabriel said, voice firm but gentle, and I'm not going to punish you, but I need you to testify, today, at the council meeting, so we can get this over with. Cynthia wiped her tears. If I speak, he will destroy me. If you don't speak out, he will continue to destroy other people. Ayla approached. My mother died because of him. I won't let anyone else die. Cynthia looked at Ayla. You saw the determination, the courage, and something in her broke. Okay, I'll talk. The board meeting began at 10 in the morning. Imposing room on the 23rd floor, oval glass table, 15 leather chairs, whiteboard on a wall, panoramic window on the other. The counselors arrived, directors, shareholders, company lawyers, and Samir Haddad, with his impeccable gray suit, his silver cane, and the confident smile of someone who has never lost. He saw Ayla in the room, sitting next to Gabriel with her notebook open, her professional posture, and the smile faltered for a second. But he recovered. He sat at the opposite head. He greeted everyone with nods. Gabriel opened the meeting. Good morning. Today we will discuss the results of the second quarter. But first I have an urgent matter, related to the company's governance and transparency. Murmurs. Samir narrowed his eyes. What's this agenda, Gabriel? An agenda that should have been opened 15 years ago, but it was suppressed. By you. Absolute silence. Samir gave a short, fake laugh. Are you serious? Completely. Gabriel waved to Ayla. Ayla, can you connect the audio? She connected the flash drive to the room system. The audio started playing. Samir's voice echoed through the speakers. Ricardo, you failed. She has the proof. Now what? What are you going to do? I'll fix it. I'll talk to her. I'll make her stop. You're not going to do anything. I'm going to solve it my way. The counselors were paralyzed. They looked at Samir, then to Gabriel, then to Ayla. Samir stood up furious. This is a setup. This recording has been tampered with. It wasn't. Gabriel remained calm. And we have more proof. Cynthia, can you come in? The door opened. Cynthia entered, pale, shaking, but firm. My name is Cynthia Almeida. I worked as Ricardo Tavares' assistant from 2007 to 2012, and I can confirm he embezzled millions of reais from investment funds, and he did it under Samir Haddad's orders. Explosion of voices. Counselors rose. Samir shouted, She's lying. She's being manipulated. I have the spreadsheets. Cynthia continued, her voice firm now. I have the emails. I have the transfers. I kept everything, because I knew that one day it would come back. Gabriel waved. Otavio, the lawyer, came in with a box of documents. He spread everything out on the table. Extracts, printed emails, fraudulent contracts, subscriptions. Samir turned white. That's a lie. You're plotting against me. No, uncle. Gabriel stood up, his voice firm, cutting. You were the one who conspired against this company, against the customers, against Lena Nascimento, and possibly against Ricardo when he became a risk. You have no proof of that. I have. Gabriel pointed to Ayla, and she has the right to speak, because her mother died because of you. All eyes turned to Ayla. She got up. His legs were shaking, but his voice was firm. My name is Ayla Nascimento, daughter of Lena Nascimento, who worked here in 2009. She discovered the fraud, and she was threatened, and 3 months after leaving she died, during my sister's birth, and you called it a complication, but I know it wasn't. She was being followed. She was scared, and someone silenced her. Heavy silence. Ayla looked directly at Samir, and that someone is here, in this room. Samir banged his cane on the floor. You can't accuse me without proof. I have the recording. I have the documents. I have witnesses. And I have the truth. Ayla took a step forward. My mother didn't give up, and I won't give up either. One of the counselors, Dr. Fernando, the oldest, stood up. Samir, is this true? Samir looked around. He saw that he was surrounded. He saw that the faces, previously respectful, were now looking at him with suspicion, disgust, fear. He tried one last trick. Are you going to believe a random girl? An assistant who appeared out of nowhere? Some girl, Gabriel said, his voice low, dangerous, who had more courage than all of us combined. And then Dr. Fernando said heavily, Samir Haddad, I propose the immediate suspension of your position on the council and the opening of a criminal investigation. Murmurs of approval. Samir looked at the door. He looked at Ayla, and then, for the first time in decades, he saw his empire crumble. He grabbed the cane, and he left, slamming the door loudly. But the story didn't end there, because 2 hours later, when Ayla and Gabriel returned to his office to organize the next steps, the secretary came in, terrified. Mr. Gabriel, the police are here. 2 police officers entered, seriously, uniformed. Gabriel Haddad, yes. We received a report that Miss Ayla Nascimento broke into the company's confidential files and stole confidential documents. We need her to accompany us. Ayla froze. Gabriel took a step forward. That's absurd. She had authorization. That's not what's stated here. The police officer showed a document, signed by Patricia. We're going to need her to come with us. And then Ayla understood. Samir had struck the last blow. Ayla looked at the police officers, then to Gabriel. The heart raced, but the voice was firm. I didn't break into anything. I had authorization from the CEO. The older police officer held up the document. That's not what's stated here. According to Ms. Patricia Mendez's complaint, you accessed the archives room without permission, and stole confidential documents. Gabriel took a step forward, his voice sharp. Patricia does not have the authority to make reports on my behalf. I am the CEO, and I authorized Ayla to access those files. Can you prove that? I can. Gabriel took out his cell phone. He opened the message exchange with Ayla. It showed. Here, I asked her to look for old documents. It's dated with a time, and the building's security cameras confirm it. The policeman looked. He frowned. He exchanged a look with his partner. Still, we'll need to take you to give a statement. It's standard procedure. Before Ayla could respond, lawyer Otavio entered the room, panting. Sorry for the delay. I am Miss Ayla Nascimento's lawyer. He held out a document. Here is the CEO's written authorization, signed and dated. And here, the file room access log, which proves that Ayla entered with the code authorized by Gabriel Haddad. No intrusion was committed. The policeman took the papers, read. The expression changed. This changes everything, and there's more. Otavio crossed his arms. Ms. Patricia Mendez's complaint is false. It was made in retaliation because Ayla helped expose a corporate fraud involving Patricia herself. I have already filed a criminal complaint for slander and misuse of police authority. The younger officer sighed. We need to talk to Ms. Patricia. She's on the 20th floor, Gabriel said coldly. Room 2004. The police left. Ayla released the breath she had been holding. The legs weakened. Gabriel held her arm. Are you okay? I am now. Otavio smiled, satisfied. They tried to intimidate you, but it didn't work. Because the truth is on our side. 2 hours later, Patricia was taken away by the police, handcuffed, the pale face, the downcast eyes, the broken posture. She passed through the hallway as employees looked on, shocked, whispering. Ayla watched from afar, from Gabriel's room. He felt no pleasure, just relief. Gabriel hung up the phone and turned to her. The police have opened a formal investigation against Samir. He is being charged with fraud, embezzlement, threats, and obstruction of justice. And there is more. He paused. They're going to reopen the case of your mother's death. Ayla felt her chest tighten. Why? Because they found inconsistencies in the medical report, and because a witness came forward. Who? The nurse who attended to your mother at the hospital. She kept notes. She said that the night before the birth, a man was in the room. No identification, and that your mother woke up agitated with altered blood pressure. The nurse thought it was strange, but was advised by the management not to comment. Ayla closed her eyes. The tears came, hot, heavy. He killed her. We don't know yet, but we'll find out. Gabriel held her shoulders. Your mother did not die in vain, Ayla. She planted the seed of truth, and you made it grow. Ainker and number none. In the following days, the story exploded. The press found out. Headlines on all news portals. Former CEO of multinational indicted for million-dollar fraud and threats. Businesswoman denounces. My mother was silenced. I won't be silenced. Young assistant exposes corruption scheme at investment company. Ayla gave an interview. With dignity, clearly, no hate. He told his mother's story, from threats, the courage not to give up, and the whole of Brazil saw it. He saw a black woman, barefoot in the interview, who refused to lower her head. He saw a daughter who honored her mother's legacy. He saw justice being done. 3 weeks later, the Haddad Investimentos board met again, this time to vote on structural changes. Samir was removed from all positions. Patricia, fired and sued. 3 other directors involved in the embezzlement were removed. And Gabriel proposed something that no one expected. I want to create a reparation fund for customers who were harmed by the embezzlement, and I want to appoint Ayla Nascimento as coordinator of the project. Murmurs. Dr. Fernando, the oldest counselor, looked at Ayla. Do you accept? Ayla was sitting in the same room where, weeks ago, she had been humiliated and threatened. Now, sitting at the table with a voice on the board. I accept, but on one condition. Which? May the fund also support entrepreneurs from the periphery, people who never had the opportunity, like my mother, like me. Silence. And then Dr. Fernando smiled. Approved. The room applauded. Ayla looked at the photo of Lena that Gabriel had brought and placed on the wall of the meeting room, a permanent tribute, and he whispered softly, We did it, Mom. That Saturday, Ayla returned to Heliopolis, but not for a pension. Gabriel had helped her and her grandmother move into a small but decent apartment with 2 bedrooms, its own bathroom, and an equipped kitchen. Nothing luxurious, but theirs. Donna Joanna was in the kitchen, making cornmeal cake. The sweet smell filled the house. Ayla entered, threw her bag on the sofa, and hugged her grandmother from behind. I miss that smell. I made your favorite. Donna Joanna turned around and smiled with teary eyes. My granddaughter, my warrior. They sat at the kitchen table. They ate cake, they had coffee, and they talked, above all, about Lena, about the difficult years, about the fight, about victory. Your mother is proud of you, Donna Joanna said, holding Ayla's hand. I know she is. I did it for her, Grandma. For you. For us. You did it for all of us. For all the women who were silenced, who were humiliated, who were erased. Grandma shook her hand. You didn't lower your head, and the whole world saw it. Ayla cried, but this time not from pain, of gratitude. On Sunday morning, Ayla woke up early. He wore simple clothes. He picked flowers at the fair, and he went to the cemetery. Lena's tomb was simple, a concrete cross, the name engraved by hand. No luxury, but with love. Ayla knelt. He placed the flowers. He wiped the plate with the sleeve of his blouse, and he spoke softly, as if his mother were there. I found out, Mom. I found out everything. Who threatened you, who silenced you, and they will pay. They are already paying. She took a deep breath. You taught me to be strong even without being here, and I tried. I tried to be half the woman you were. I hope I succeeded. The wind blew softly. The leaves of the surrounding trees rustled, and Ayla felt deep in her chest that her mother was at peace. 6 months later, Ayla was on the 22nd floor of Haddad Investimentos, but now not as an assistant, as director of Fund of Reparation and Social Inclusion. Own room, own team, own budget. She had helped 23 suburban entrepreneurs to open or expand businesses. It had returned more than 1 million reais to injured customers. I had created an internship program for young black people with no experience, and that day, I was interviewing candidates. A girl entered, 19 years, black, simple but clean clothes, short CV, nervous look. Good morning. You may sit down. The girl sat down. He folded his hands in his lap. I know I don't have experience, and I know there are people more qualified than me, but I came because I need to, and because I don't give up easily. Ayla smiled. He recognized courage. She recognized it herself 6 months ago. You're hired. The girl's eyes widened. Serious? Seriously. It starts Monday. The girl left the room floating, and Ayla stared out the window, seeing the city spread out below. He thought about his mother, at grandmother, in the fight, in victory, and he understood something profound. Justice is not just about punishing those who made mistakes. It's opening doors for those who have been forgotten. That night, Ayla returned home. The youngest sister, Isis, now 15 years old, was in the living room doing homework. Hi, sis. Hi, Isis. Are you studying? Yeah, math. I hate it. Ayla sat on the side. It helped to resolve it, he explained patiently, and when they finished, Isis asked, Is it true that you faced a billionaire? I faced it. And you won? I won. Isis smiled, proud. When I grow up, I want to be just like you. Ayla hugged her sister and whispered, You already are. You just need to believe. Final reflection. Ayla learned something that no one teaches at school, but that life screams every day. Courage is not being afraid. It's being afraid and continuing anyway. She arrived barefoot for an interview. She was humiliated, ridiculed, threatened, but he didn't give up, because giving up would be betraying the mother who died fighting. It would be betraying the grandmother who washed clothes to raise her. It would be a betrayal of all the black women who came before and didn't have a voice, and she couldn't do that. Then he got up, investigated, faced it, and he won, not alone, never alone, with the help of those who believed, who was fair, of those who chose the truth even when it was easier to choose silence. And today, Ayla is not just a survivor. She is a bridge between the painful past and the possible future, a bridge for those who come behind. And this perhaps is the greatest victory of all. Anke Tamanimawe Kiwer. And you, what did you think of this story? Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between giving up or fighting, even with everything against you? Leave your rating from 0 to 10 for this story in the comments. If this story moved you, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and share with those who need to hear that courage is not about being perfect. It's about standing up when people push you to the ground. And if you want to see more stories of overcoming injustice and redemption, click on the video below. There are many people who deserve to be seen, and a lot of truth that deserves to be told. Until next time, and remember, you are stronger than you think.